Okay, it's Earth Month for WBA. I'm with Matt and Julian, and it's November 1st. We're at Ochedi Shikoni Camp, and they're going to talk about why they're here and what they're doing, and the whole purpose of all of us being here.
Okay, my name's Julian Boucher. I am a member of the Sisterton tribe from the Lake Traverse Reservation in northeast South Dakota, and I am also a member of the Black Hills Treaty Council for the Lake Traverse Reservation or Sisterton tribe. And I'm here because we are trying to protect our waters. I've been working at this for around 20 years now with Arvel Lickenhorst since we started World Peace and Prayer Day. And our goal is to protect Mother Earth, because currently, right now, the way the corporate entities are working, we are losing more and more water every year. And we are actually in a shortage of fresh drinking water, because all around the world, not just here, our drinking waters are being contaminated to the point where we can no longer use them for drinking water, not even for our animals, our livestock and everything, and nature. You know, big corporations are killing our waters. And, you know, that is the main reason I'm here, is we need to protect our waters. And, you know, a lot of people think that, oh, this is just an Indian thing. The Indians are on a warpath to, you know, try and protect what they think is just theirs. That is not it. We are not only doing this for our people, but we are looking out for, there's over 10 million people from where this pipeline they want to cross this river that we're protecting also, because when this pipeline breaks, if it goes through, it's not only going to pollute the water for the drinking source water for the Standing Rock tribe, while just a little ways downriver from the Standing Rock tribe there is water inlets where they pick up water for the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. Okay, that's another tribe that it'll affect. And in that same area, they take out water which provides half of eastern South Dakota, their drinking water supply. So we're looking out for the non-natives in eastern South Dakota, because there's millions of people just in South Dakota alone that gets their drinking water from Lake Oahe, which this pipeline is supposed to go under. And so it's not just us. We are looking out for everybody to protect everybody's water. And, you know, like I said, the world is running out of clean drinking water, and we need to protect it.
Thank you. Matt?
My name is Chief Matthew Black Eagle Man. Tribal membership is with Long Plain First Nation, Manitoba, Canada. I come from the line of Prince family out of Manitoba. Chief Pegwas was one of my family members that really helped Native people establish their place up in the Canadian area, Canada. I was taken away when I was just young. I was 5 years old when I was taken away from my people, and the Canadian government sold a lot of Native children all over the world, and I ended up in the United States. I grew up in Indiana. So when I was, I guess I was maybe 18, 19 years old, it was the first time I ever went to a ceremony, an EP ceremony. People call it the Sweat Lodge. And I woke up right there. You know, I'd been awake, but that was the first time I realized, you know, what I'd been missing in my life. Something had been gone, and I needed to nurture something, and that was it. Saw how I could find a way to nurture my spirit in ways that I couldn't do it in society today. So doing things like this, you know, we say we're all a part of one nation here now. But you see these flags when you come in here, all of these different flags are like, how many nations?
300 something.
300
I
something
think it's
nations.
like 312. Yeah.
There are up to 312 nations of flags that are standing here, each one representing their own people. But today here in this camp, we're one nation still. And so when I talked about how, you know, we're not looking at, you know, we ride with the Dakota 38 ride. We're riders with that. Julian through the years has rode with lots of other rides. But we're all relatives that way. You know, we get connected and we learn to grow strength from each other in those kinds of times. We make a lot of prayers together riding on horses. We know that when we ride on horses, even scientists are starting to show that they can test the spiritual power that comes out of that horse. And that horse knows us. And so when we go into a ride, and even out here, those riders, when they get on that horse, you know, and everybody thinks they want to go get wild or crazy, you know, all they're doing is praying and protecting. And, you know, they may be from Crow Creek, or they may be from Siston or Santee or any other tribe. But here we're that one nation standing together, like we said earlier, only to protect life. Only to protect life. We could go down many roads, you know, Black Lives Matter, what they do, say how Black Lives Matter. We're 150 years, 200 years behind the social curve of respect, you know, but that doesn't even matter. You know, that part, it doesn't even matter, because right now, the unification all comes because, hey, we all have to drink water. When we're here on this earth, we're taught to be stewards. Our elders teach us that stewardship of all things is each person's responsibility. Whatever we do, we have to do the best we can to help make things better. We're taught to think 7 generations down the line. You know, we know that we'll never see that end result 7 generations from now, but we can see it because we're that 7th generation from 7 generations ago that thought about us when they made their decisions. And when it all comes down to it, native or non-native, our 7th generation grandchildren are going to be saying, what did you do for us?
Yep.
How did you help us? How did you let this happen? And I don't want to ever be the one that said, I didn't do anything at all. I just let it go. Oh, well, you know, the fight was too big for me, and that's not okay to think that way. We're one nation. We're big because we think that way here. We come together from different tribes, but we say, you're my koda, my brother. My kola, my brother. And it's even more than that for us as Indian people, because when I call this man my koda, it says that I'll lay my life down to protect this guy and these relatives that are out here. What does it mean to be my koda? And so we look at each other relatives that way. We're not just friends. We're not just brothers and sisters. We're people that live for each other, whatever that takes. There's a lot of people that say they're warriors all over the world. You know, all these punk kids and call themselves warriors and gangs and these things like that. You know, if you want to be somebody that your relatives are going to say, how did you get to that point? How did we get to this point here? You got to think about what we're doing today. Stewardship, even not just standing the line here, but how can we reduce and reuse the resources that we're tapping into? The system's a big system, but we have to be mindful. We're taught always to be introspective in every situation that we're a part of. What can I have done to have made that thing better? Or what did I do that made that go that way and maybe go south or end up in a bad situation? So our elders teach us these things. And maybe we learned them when we were just little kids through stories that we didn't know we were even learning those kinds of teachings. Because I don't remember being taught these things. I only know that this is how I feel in my heart. I only know that when I'm riding with my relatives, this is how we feel about our relatives, that we pray that they be okay. And so even more than praying about things being okay, our relatives taught us, our ancestors and grandparents, they taught us how to take responsibility for your prayers. Oh, I'm praying for clean water, I'm praying for clean water, I'm praying for clean water. Well, what are you doing about that prayer? Come here. If you're standing out there and you say, I'm just doing everything I can, you can do more. You stand up for your prayer. You defend your prayer with your congressmen, with your senators, with the people that represent you, no matter where you are in the United States, Canada, or the world. You represent your prayer. So these people that come to the Standing Rock camp, when they make a prayer for clean water, they mean what they say, because here they are. They came here to represent clean water. And so that's how our elders, our ancestors teach us to be, our grandparents. Represent what you pray for. Stand up and do what you think you're supposed to do to protect what you prayed for. I had an elder told me one time, he said, you want to pray for world hunger, and then you go downtown and some homeless guy comes and begs you for a meal, and you're like, oh, you're homeless, leave me alone. You failed. Miserable test right there. If you didn't buy that man a meal, that's a miserable failure. We're not taught to be that way. In this camp, if you show up in somebody's camp, they'll offer you something to drink. They'll offer you some food if they have it. They'll give you their last morsel of food if that's all they got, just because that's the way we're taught to be, to respect each other and take care of each other. And mitako ye oyase, that people use that word to say, sometimes assume that just in the ceremony, the people that are praying were all related and connected in that prayer, and that's true. But we also always have to think about some of these oil spills that went on back a few years back up in Alaska. And they made this chemical. They put it over top of it and it just sunk it. They just sunk that oil to the bottom. And then tribal people go back up there to that very same spot. And then there's no more fish. There's no more birds. There's no more large animals or game, because there's still oil there. It looks beautiful. It looks like, wow, this is God's place on earth. Until you reach into that water just below that mud and you pick up that mucky black oil. All they did was sunk it. But the chemicals, they still come out. You don't see those chemicals. They're not the black. They're not the oil. They're the chemicals that cause cancer. They're the chemicals that kill people and kill animals and they kill our relatives like this. That kills the animals. That kill us. So it starts a vicious cycle. How long is it going to be now before our Mother Earth can repair herself in that area where we have a sustainable environment, where fish can live, where birds can come and know that there'll be food there? Now it's a dead zone. These pipes that they're putting, they're substandard pipes. The bore on the inside, I heard a story that the bore on the inside doesn't qualify, and they couldn't fix these pipes. They're substandard pipes that they're putting into a substandard system that, like Julian said, not if it breaks, when it breaks, because it's set up to fail. And what kills me even more about this pipeline, it really angers me the most, is the fact that they have acceptable levels of spillage. If you're a buyer and you buy 100,000 gallons of oil out the backside of that pipeline that's coming from way over here, by the time it gets to the end where you're buying it, you only get 85%. 15% of your oil is getting lost in acceptable levels of leakage. 15% of 100,000 gallons of oil. Now there's one of two things is wrong with this scenario. Either they're shafting all the people and they're loving it and paying for it, or they're completely admitting 15% of what they put into those oils leaks into the ground. And you think about a 100,000 gallon purchase. 15% of that's 15,000 gallons of oil. Acceptable leakage. That's bullshit. I don't care where you're from in the world. That's bullshit. And these companies, all they want to do is make the dollar. All they want to do is make dollars. So if you're willing to pay 85% for 100% of a product, you go for it. You're a freaking idiot. if you want to support these oil companies and what they're doing to you, just in your dollar. If your dollar is that important, think about that for a minute. But then think about having to buy water when they control the water that you're going to drink in your lifetime. Where is it going to come clean water? Who's going to figure out how to get that oil out of that water and make it safe for everybody in the world to drink? It'll become the hottest commodity in the world when it's the most abundant resource that our Creator gave us. So we have to stand up. We have to stand up and do something. I had a relative once told me the only thing that it takes for bad things to happen, all it takes for bad things to happen is for good people to do nothing. And if there's good people out there doing nothing, you're a bad person. I'm not telling you how to be. I'm not calling you out in any certain way. But all it takes for bad things to happen is for good people to do nothing. And they ran right over top of our people. It broke my heart. We can stop this. But we need everybody's help. Talk about the population just of Indian people. It's so minuscule in this country, it's not even newsworthy. It's so not even newsworthy that they can black it out. And the world doesn't even know it. It's just Indian people.
That's one thing that's bad about the news system. And it's not only the news, but it's our own government. You know, our people are invisible people in our own nations. You know, these lands that we're working to protect right here are covered under two different treaties, 1851 and the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty. And, you know, they're going right through treaty lands. They didn't consult with the Standing Rock, which they're trying to protect their 1868 treaty. And, you know, by me saying that our people are invisible people, it's not in just this, what's happening here with this pipeline fight. It's been going on for years. And the reason why the media blackout is because they do not want to let the story out of the wrongs that are still happening to our people. And this is from the government. You know, they don't want the media knowing that they are still committing genocide upon the native people. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize, you know, what they're doing to us, you know, and it's very sad. And, you know, we've been trying to get our word out on many issues. And a lot of people, like what I was going to say, is a lot of the people of the United States don't realize these treaties that are made with us, they are protected by the U.S. Constitution. And in the Constitution, it states that the treaties with the Indians are supreme law of the land. That means they overrule any other laws that are made. So, you know, we have the right to stand up and say, hey, protect our treaty rights. Obey by your own laws that you made and stated in your Constitution. You know, we have the right to defend our treaties. And every treaty that has been made with the Native American people has been broken. And it's all been over our natural resources. Well, you know, they're not our natural resources, they are the natural resources of Mother Earth. And they just happen to be within the territories of where we live. You know, the lands where, you know, we are raised and taught to respect and protect. And, you know, the initial treaties made, the 1851 treaty made, was to protect this area for our people. Well, there was war and all that broke out, the Civil War. And there were people coming through that basically led to the breaking of the 1851 Fort Laramie Treaty. then which led to the war with Custer, which Custer was defeated. And this is something the United States government doesn't want out either. The native people of the Great Sioux Nation and other nations that fought against Custer, we are the only people to defeat the United States Army in any battle. And, you know, after that, you know, our people, the United States flag belongs to us. That the United States flag is our flag now, because there has never been another war where they came in and taken that flag back. So when people are pledging allegiance to the United States flag, they're pledging allegiance to the Great Sioux Nation's flag. That is fact, because we have never been defeated again, which we lost that flag. And, you know, it's, you know, they don't want our story told because, you know, like I said, they are still committing genocide on our people. You know, there are some senators right now that are trying to get bills passed that are going to put a wedge between our people again. You know, what I mean by that wedge is when they made these treaties with all the different tribes, they knew what they were doing, and after these treaties were made, they used this divide and conquer routine on us. And that worked very well because, you know, they'd give one band something else, another band something else. They'd give better stuff to this band than this band, which caused conflict, which caused that division, the divide and conquer. Okay, the one some senators are working on now is they are going to put a major rift between our people by putting our traditional people against our people that have taken the Christianity way. And how that's going to work is they're going to use the treaties against us. Okay, they're going to say the treaties were made with the traditional people. Okay, that's who all these benefits are going to go to. They're going to go to only the traditional people. Your people that have taken the Christianity view, guess what? You are no longer entitled to these benefits. If you don't believe me, do the research. Go to us.gov. Check out the senators. Type in Native American, type in Indian, type in, you know, everything that concerns our people. Start researching them bills and you'll find it. They are still working on getting the genocide of our people. And, you know, it's sad, but it's true.
It's sad because I think you're our only way out, to follow the native ways, to follow your wisdom. I mean, you're earth keepers, and you know, we came in and messed things up royally, and now we're in the situation that we're in. So,
you know, and you know, a lot of people think, oh, Native Americans have always been a savage people. That has never been our way. And when the first white man came here, entered these lands, we were a welcoming people. We welcomed them. You know, they thought, oh, you know, they were always running around killing everybody. When we had wars, we didn't go around killing each other. It was like, okay, basically, if there was a major confrontation and a fight broke out, it's like, okay, I just finished beating this guy up. Okay, you go home, you know, that's it. You know, he left beat up, I went home the victor, you know. There, you know.
He got songs made about him and I had to go just dry my tears.
He may go home with a bloody nose or crying in his grave, and that's it, you know. we didn't kill each other like that. You know, it's, you know, even when the whites fought us, it's like, you know, the killing didn't start until so many of the whites, you know, just they'd see an Indian out there and it's like, okay, boom, one dead Indian, you know, no problem. They go on, do it to another, and then after the wars, the biggest atrocities was what a lot of people do not realize. Okay, they are aware of the Lakota Wars. Okay, they're not aware of what happened pre-Lakota Wars. This started in 1862 with the Dakota conflict. Okay, I am a descendant of the warriors of that conflict, direct descendant. My family was almost wiped out. I mean, if my great-great-grandfather was killed, I would not be here. During that time and after them wars, the state of Minnesota put out a $200 bounty on Indian scalps. You know, and they think that it was the native people that done the scalping and started the scalping. Well, the scalping came from bounties on Indian people. They were paid, you know, before the Minnesota uprising, you know, it was like $5, $10, $20 for a native scalp. But during and after the Dakota conflict, as they call it, well, Dakota Wars in 1862, the state of Minnesota issued that $200 bounty on Native American scalps.
It's a lot of money then, huh?
Lot of money back
Maybe
then.
like 5,000 now or
You
more.
know, well, you
God
know,
knows, but
by one individual going out, killing and scalping a few Indians back then, they made their year's salary.
sure.
And then after that, you know, you don't see it in any of the history books. Well, you see a few of them. Well, there is a massacre here. There is a massacre here. You know, or no, a war here and a war here. And these were villages of women and elders where the cavalry came in and just killed everybody in that camp. And this is before Wounded Knee, so, you know, we have a terrible history that the United States government has put on us. And, you know, we're just trying to get the truth told.
Yeah.
And they don't want us out there telling it. That's why there's, you know, no major news coverage. They don't want to delve into the history of what the United States government done to us. And, you know, that's why we're not getting media here, is because they do not want to let the people know what's happening to the Native American people today, now.
And your hearts have stayed so pure and so open still to all of us. And that kindness is still there. I mean, you've got every reason to really hate us, but you're not haters. I mean, the love and kindness that I feel at this camp from everyone, especially the Native people, feeling privileged to be amongst you and to be here.
You know, on that part, there's to the core of who we are, we're a prayerful people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you think about prayer, when you really pray your heart, it's not words that you use that expresses your heart, it's your feeling. And
You know, it goes to our true teachings. Our teachings are of Wo Lakota, and that is a peaceful teaching, a peaceful life. And our true beliefs are a peaceful people. And those are our teachings, is we are a peaceful, prayerful people.
but see, in that, to be prayerful, you have to, it's hard to open your heart to somebody if you have guilt and shame in your heart, especially to our Creator. And if you really want to pray, and make a good prayer that you can stand behind and represent with honor. You can't have shame and guilt in your heart. We're all human beings. We're all going to make mistakes in this world. But if I do something against you as a person, then I have guilt in my heart I have shame for what I did for you. So introspectiveness plays that part and says, you know what? Go take that person some tobacco and talk to them and make that right. And eliminate that guilt and that shame. And so as a people, when we stand together, we don't have any guilt or shame over what has happened in the history of this country. We have a lot of heartbreak.
Yeah.
And that gives strong prayer. But we don't have shame for it, for being who we are. Even growing up away from my people, I had a lot of shame in my heart because I wasn't white and I didn't fit in the society that I was at. But it wasn't until I discovered my heritage and my roots and my people and my ways of our people that I started to feel that. I could let that guilt and that shame go of those things that have happened in my life. Make me a more prayerful person. That's what we're taught. It's the way we're taught to be. So when you get welcomed into camp, they always talk about how Indian people, we laugh so easily. You know, even right after something really bad, we can all sit down and it just takes a half a second. We'll all laugh about things, get lighthearted again. But it's about living that way, in that kind of way where you have a balance in the earth. That kind of balance, it eliminates guilt and shame from our hearts. And so when people come non-native into a native camp, that's the reason why we can be open-hearted with people, because we don't carry that baggage. There's a lot said about being this genetic memory of things that are born in us, this historical trauma against native people from all over this continent, all over the world,
Yeah.
truthfully. But that doesn't bring guilt and that doesn't bring shame. It only brings awareness for us. How to be better stewards. It teaches us these things we learn. Our ancestors didn't have to deal with what we're dealing with today. We don't want our children and grandchildren to have to deal with this the same way that we have to. They'll have a different set of circumstances in their life to deal with, and we don't need to make it worse. So we become good stewards. We stand and protect. We accept people that want to come and help and stand and protect beside us, not behind us, not in front of us, just together with us. That's all we ask for. Come and help us. Stand up and protect your own water. You know, that's what we're asking for people. That's what we're all doing for them here. That's why we're here. That's who we are.
And, you know, like I said earlier, it's like, you know, our people has always been a welcoming people and will always be a welcoming people. And it don't matter what color or where you're from or whatever. And, you know, we'll welcome everybody to come. And, you know, we get these certain individuals that come in that are bad people, then we ask them to leave. You know, say, you know, that kind of attitude is not welcome here. That is not what we're standing for. You know, we want this done in a peaceful, prayerful way. You know, we can't have any dissent that's going to cause trouble for the people of this camp in that. And one thing that needs to be said for sure is to some of our fighters here is everybody's got to think about the people on the Standing Rock Reservation that live here. They are the ones that have to live here after everything is over. We got to think about them because they got to live with the consequences of what's happening right now. So we have to do this in a peaceful, prayerful way.
Thank you both very much. It's really a privilege to be here with you. It really is. Thank you.
Thank you.